Hey friends, we're poolside once again, checking out my new little friend on this beautiful spring day. This is the Aiper X1 Pro Max, the big boy, the all-in-one pool cleaner that can do the floor, it can do the walls, it can do the waterline, and it's the first Aiper all-in-one pool cleaner that can now also skim. In today's video, I'm going to tell you 5 things that you're going to want to know about this bad boy before you decide to buy it or not. Let's jump into this water and see what it's all about. All right, here we go. First off, I want to thank Aiper for sending this out to me for a full honest review. And if you're a pool owner and tech lover like I am, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get notified of new videos whenever I put them out. And while you're at it, might as well hit that like button. All right, first thing that you need to know is that this is Aiper's first pool cleaner with 4 different modes. That's right, 4 different modes where it's going to clean the floor, it's going to clean the walls, it's going to clean the waterline. That's right, it's going to go horizontally on the waterline. And it's Aiper's first multi-mode pool cleaner with a skimmer mode. They've had dedicated pool skimmers for a couple years now, but this is the first multi-mode pool skimmer all in one that can do floor, walls, waterline, and now skimming all in one unit, which is an amazing thing. And seeing this great big pool cleaner floating on top of the water is just amazing. It has a lot of great options and uses, but keep in mind, this is not for everybody as it is quite big and heavy. So you have to be stronger to get this thing out because it has a huge battery and it's just a big pool cleaner overall. But at least it's a one design. So you can throw it in, put it on auto. It's going to do the wall. It's going to do the floor. It's going to do the water line. And then it's going to start skimming. And you can adjust the time for each mode in auto depending on your settings. And if you want to, you can just throw this in skimming mode and it just be like a dedicated skimmer for like 10 hours. The customization is all up to you. But being an all-in-one unit is quite expensive and it might actually be better to buy 2 units, one for a wall, waterline, and floor cleaner that might be a little bit cheaper, and then having a dedicated pool skimmer like the Aiper S2 that has a dedicated solar panel and have that running more often, but to each their own. And this is going to satisfy a lot more people only having to deal with one device. And you just throw it in, set it, and forget it. And now for the second thing that you're going to want to know is about its cleaning ability, cleaning path, and the amount of time that actually can clean. Now they actually state that it can clean the floor for 5 hours, or it could do skimming for 10 hours. But understand what mode you're in because that's going to play a lot in the amount of time that this thing can run on its battery. Now, I noticed when I was in auto, when it cleaned the entire pool, meaning all 4 modes, the floor, the wall, waterline, and the skimming, it ran for about a total of 3 hours. Now, half of that was strictly on the floor. And then it did about half hour to 45 minutes on the wall and the waterline, and then the remaining hour or so on the surface. Obviously, there's a lot of settings in the app that you can customize. For instance, you can tell it how long you want the surface cleaning duration to be. I had it on 70 minutes, which is like the minimum, and then you can go to a maximum of 540 minutes on surface. And then the waterline and the wall you can have on auto. And you can have it from like 10 minutes to 60 minutes on the waterline. Then on the wall, you can have from 30 to 120 minutes. So you can really customize what you want to focus on. Plus, you can specifically say spend the entire battery life on just the wall if that's what you want. I know a lot of people are just going to have this in skimmer mode the entire time. And that's where you're going to get the 10 hour of battery life. Now, keep in mind, there's 9 motors and 40 sensors. So depending on what modes that you are using, that's going to use more battery life. Now, as far as the cleaning ability, it does really well. It has a brush in the front, has a brush in the back, has the big wide suction that does 8,500 gallons per minute. So it's going to suck in a lot of dirt and debris that's down on the bottom, and the scrubber is going to scrub. It does an amazing job. I would say the surface cleaner definitely needs to come up out of the water just a little bit. It was just too low for some of the debris to actually fall in there. Most of it still went in there. I just noticed a couple of leaves that recently fell that were kind of getting just dragged along rather than sucked into the skimmer. Eventually, it all did, but if it was out of the water just a little bit more, it would go right into the skimmer. Now, unfortunately, I do have two more cons with this skimmer. Unfortunately, it's not very fast. I kind of feel that it's way too slow to pick up a lot of debris, kind of just pushes some of the debris out of the way rather than sucking it in. And then also when it approaches a wall, it kind of slows down and then hits the wall, goes in reverse, and then turns in one direction. There's really no mapping or trying to avoid the edge of the pool. It kind of just goes wherever it wants, and I kind of feel it can do a much better job cleaning if it goes a little bit faster, and also avoid hitting the wall straight on. Plus, while it's skimming, I don't understand why it can't connect to Wi-Fi like the Aiper Surfer S2, where you can steer and direct it to the place in the pool that you want to clean. While it's on top of the water, it should still have Wi-Fi, but I'll talk more about Wi-Fi and the communication buoy or the Hydrocom buoy later in this video. Now, this leads into the third thing that you need to know is that this does have an app that you will want to download. This will connect to your Wi-Fi, but understand that it will only connect to your Wi-Fi when it's not in the water. However, if you get the Hydrocom Pro, which I'll talk more about later, you can do some communication while it's in the water, but it's not something I can highly recommend just because most of the stuff that you want to do is actually setting the mode before you actually throw the robot into the pool. Now, there are some buttons on the robot itself that you can kind of select what mode, but if you really want to customize it, you're going to have to use the app. And that way you can select what you want to clean, how long you want to clean it. And if you have a multi-layer or multi-zone pool, if you have a weird shaped pool or like a tanning shelf, then you definitely want to go in there and select multi-zone so it goes up on the tanning ledge and cleans that area. Unfortunately, I don't have a tanning ledge, so I wasn't able to test out that feature, but I did see it in the app. So you really want to download this so you can really customize what cleaning and how long you want cleaning to be done, what mode you are in, eco mode or max mode, which by the way, you can only have the max mode on the floor. Max mode doesn't work on any other setting. And of course, the results show up in the debris basket, which I really like the design of this debris basket because you can empty it out with one hand. You don't need a second hand to open it up. And you can hold a hose with the other hand and get all the debris out there really quick and easy. Now, they do include two different filters. They just have the regular fine filter that you see here. And then they also include attachments for the ultra fine filter, and that's going to pick up a lot of the smaller material, but that's a filter that you're going to have to pop on and pop off depending on which one you want to use. And now for the fourth thing that you need to know is how you charge this up. There's actually no charging port on here, which was one of my biggest cons with most pool cleaners is trying to plug in a power wire into a wet pool cleaner. Never liked that idea. And it does come with a dock that is wireless. There's actually no charging pads, like little metal charging pads. This is more like a Qi charger type of thing, and it's different than the other Aiper pool cleaners. Those pool cleaners will not work with this docking station, so this is just specific to the X1 Pro Max. So having this docking station is a huge plus in my book, but the downside is that this robot is so big and heavy. Trying to get this out of the pool, even though you can have it come to the edge and you can pull it out with your hand, and if you wait too long and it's at the bottom, they include the hook. But trying to lift this out of the pool for a lot of people is going to be difficult, especially since it's filled with water. Now, for me, it's pretty easy, but for my father-in-law, it's a little bit more difficult. But if you can get it out of the water and just let it drain out, they actually sell a cart. Now, this is an additional purchase, but for most people, I'm going to highly recommend it. That way you can wheel it around the pool, to the pool house, to your garage, wherever you need to store this when you're not using it. It does come with a cover, so you can keep this by the pool if you have a plug there. But if you need to move this somewhere else to plug it in, having this cart is a huge plus and actually uses the docking station that comes with the robot. and you just slide it right onto the cart when you put it together. So you remove the legs off the docking station and put it onto the cart. And then you plug it in and you can actually store the power adapter on the cart itself. And now for the fifth and final thing that you need to know about this is that it does work with the Aiper Hydrocom Pro communication buoy. Now, I'm kind of wishy-washy about this buoy. I kind of like it, but then it's too expensive and it doesn't give me enough bang for your buck, if you know what I mean. Now, obviously, if you get the regular version, which I'm probably not going to recommend at all, it just gives you the pool levels, kind of think you can measure all that stuff yourself. But having communication with your pool cleaner is a huge plus. But at that price, it's really hard to recommend simply because it's kind of limited. There's one key feature I would expect this to have if you're going to spend that type of money, and that is a remote control. Now, unfortunately, that is not currently in the app. Could they add it? Absolutely. Where you can actually steer this to the dirt at the bottom of the pool, specific area that you want, and get that. That is not in the app. And that is the main reason I would think that you would have a communication buoy like this. Now, currently you can switch modes, which is cool, but I don't think that's a huge necessity, especially since you're selecting all that stuff before you throw the robot into the pool. But if you wanted to change it mid-cycle, you can definitely do that with the current firmware that's on here. Also, you can stop it if you just want to pause it in the middle of the cleaning cycle, you can do that. And you can also recall it where it actually come to the top of the water, come to the edge of the water, and you can grab it and get it out of the pool without the stick, without the hook. Now that's all good and dandy, but I don't mind using the hook if I wanted to stop it mid-cycle. Obviously, you kind of have to catch it while it's moving, but it's really slow, so it's really not that hard to catch the robot with the hook at the bottom of the pool while it's slowly moving. But that recall feature is nice, but I still wish you can steer this, you can remote control it, and unfortunately that is not in the app or the Hydrocom Pro currently. Please, 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 I hope they will add it. But until they do, it's kind of hard to justify that price for the Hydro Pro. But when it comes to the Aiper X1 Pro Max, by far, it's a great all-in-one pool cleaner. It can do the floor, the wall, the waterline, and now the surface. So if you're looking for an all-in-one pool cleaner, this is definitely a great choice. But I'm also kind of going to recommend that if you don't mind having two robots, having something like the Aiper S1 or the X1, and then having the Surfer S2 run both at the same time, or having the Surfer run more often because it has the solar panel, is going to be a better option. Plus, it's going to be a little bit cheaper. But then again, if you're looking for an all-in-one, then the X1 Pro Max is definitely what you want to get. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. I hope this video was helpful. Let me know down in the comments if you prefer to have an all-in-one pool cleaner or having two different pool robots in your pool to get the most bang for your buck. All right, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys on the next video.